Opening the Antec Sonata IV. The sides are tool-free. 2 thumb screws hold them in. And they are a swing-off door. They don't slide, they swing out and remove. As you can see, the inside of the case, pretty standard for mid-tower as far as size-wise. You do have your power supply up top rather than on the bottom. You do have a good amount of space. First thing you'll notice, accessories are packed inside the case. Simple accessory box. Power cable. Standoffs and screws. Wire ties. And finally, five and a quarter to 3.5 inch drive adapter that goes right into the front of your optical drives. Starting up top, we find the 620 watt Neo Eco power supply. It is the full retail Antec version of the power supply. Standard 20 plus 4 pin connector for the motherboard. 4 or 8 pin connector for the motherboard. The Pci Express cable is a little different. It is a single cable with a 6 or 8 pin and a second 6 pin if you've got a video card requiring 2 PCI Express power cables, plus 3 SATA cables, 1 Molex. Coming out from the front of the case, going through the hard drive cage, cables for your I/O, front audio, AC97 and digital, and just 1 USB header plug, only 2 USB ports on the front of the case, hard drive light, power LED, power switch, reset switch. Also going along the bottom of the hard drive cage and running through the top PCI slot, expansion slot, is the USB 3 cable. The Sonata 4 hard drive cage is a little bit different from other hard drive cages we've seen. It's got space for 4 hard drives which mount in a vertical position. There's a top rail and a bottom rail. It is a tool-free mounting system. Thumb screw comes out for the top rail. Thumb screw comes out for the bottom rail. And 2 rails. Obviously sandwich the hard drive together and the drive will slide right in. Taking a look at the back of the hard drive cage, you can see 2 large cutouts. That is actually the air intake system for the Sonata 4. The Sonata 4 is meant to be a very quiet design. There's no intake fan up front. It's actually solid. Noise dampening. All the intake comes in through these 2 vents and is channeled out through one single 120mm fan in the rear of the case. Taking a look at the outside of the right side of the Sonata 4, you see the large grill for the air intake. It is mesh, dust collecting. It is removable to be cleaned. Going to the back side of the motherboard tray, you can see it's a solid motherboard tray, no cutout. Up top, you've got a nice large opening from the power supply to the back of the motherboard tray, allowing for cable routing. 2 openings into the cavity of the case. Now, behind the hard drives, you also have 2 larger openings. Those actually align with the vent on the right side of the case, allowing for air intake. There's a good amount of room between the motherboard tray and the side of the case, so even routing your thicker cables is not going to be a problem. A full-size ATX motherboard fits into the Sonata 4 without a problem, even with a larger heatsink and fan setup. This is not a particularly tall heatsink and fan. It's a Noctua, which is actually also made to be silent to go along with the case, but it is a larger type setup. As you can see, you've got plenty of room around the motherboard for routing cables and for fitting your peripherals. Video card and wireless adapter both went in without issue. GTS 250 video card, not a very large video card. You've got some ample room for a larger card. You're not going to get a 6990 in there or a GTX 590, but mid-size mainstream video card is going to go in without a problem. Taking a look at the hard drive mounting, as we've shown you before, the rails come out tool-free with thumb screws. However, they are not tool-free to the hard drive. They are screwed into place, 4 screws, and as you can see, have silicone dampeners. Once the rails are attached, the hard drive will slide into place. A little strangely, it's actually mounted with your connections facing forward. There is no space behind the hard drive cage to route the cables to the hard drive. And with all in place, you wind up with a nice clean looking install. You've got plenty of room in here, once again, for full-size ATX, micro ATX, mini ITX, whatever motherboard you're going to be using. You can use a nice mainstream video card. You're not going to put a giant video card in here, but this case is not made for that. It's not an overclocker case. It is not a gaming case. It's an HTPC or an upscale business type case where you're going to be using a more mainstream system. Peripheral cards such as a wireless network adapter, not a problem. You still got plenty of room. Room for 4 hard drives, easily removable. All in all, a nice package.